We live in a society, we live in a world right now where we want everything so quickly. We want everything in a microwave. We want all of these quarterbacks that come from the college ranks to the NFL and be successful right off the rip. They look at a guy like CJ Stroud and they go, look, CJ did it. Why can't you do it? CJ Stroud was in a much different environment than what Bryce Young has dealt with in Carolina and what Caleb Williams is dealing with right now in Chicago. It's unrealistic to think that every single one of these high draft picks coming out of college are going to have success early on. CJ Stroud is the exception, not the rule. Let's not forget that. There's a reason why a lot of these teams are drafting in the top 5, the top 10. It's because they need more than just a quarterback. It was a perfect storm for CJ in Houston with DeMeco Ryans. They already had some good players at the skill positions, offensive tackles, some good defensive players. It's not the same for everybody. These quarterbacks have a lot to learn. And we'll start with Bryce Young in Carolina, getting benched after the second game of the season in favor of Andy Dalton. And shame on the Carolina Panthers for not having a better support system around this kid. You want to go to the veteran route with Frank Reich last year? That didn't work out. You want to go with Dave Canales, who spent 1 year as a play caller with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, thinking that he's some magical quarterback whisperer? And now you wonder why Bryce Young is benched after the second game? I don't even know if that's the wrong move. He doesn't look right. Remember Sam Darnold? I'm seeing ghosts. That's what Bryce Young looks like. But that's what happens when you don't put a good support system around a young quarterback. When you don't fortify the offensive line, when you don't give them a multitude of weapons. You have to put these kids in a position to succeed. Bryce Young still has a lot to learn. He still has a lot of room to grow. And I hate to say it, but I look at Bryce Young and you know what I see? I see David Carr from the Houston Texans, Derek's older brother. That guy had some talent, but that offensive line that Houston put around him, every single week he was getting his brains bashed in. Sack after sack after sack. It was impossible for him to be successful in the NFL. They did not put that guy in a position to succeed. Then when you look at Caleb Williams, on one hand, I look at it as the kid's a fiery competitor, and he didn't really want to talk at that moment. And you kind of get that. But there's another side of me that looks at the situation with Caleb Williams and says, the guy's trying to help you. CJ Stroud is trying to impart some knowledge to help you out in your career. Give him the decency of standing there, looking that man in his eyes, and not just hearing what he has to say, but actually listening to what he has to say. You want to know how you can be successful early on in your career? Listen to some guys that have been down that road before. Some of the best leaders on this planet in any type of vocation are the best listeners. And for CJ Stroud to be at the position in his career where he's looking out for the next generation, which is only a guy that was only drafted a year after him, kudos to CJ Stroud. That didn't look great for Caleb Williams. I thought it looked fantastic for CJ Stroud. And then it kind of makes sense why he's been so successful in Houston, why other guys rally around him. Because he's a leader, because he's trying to give advice and he's trying to help others. He's trying to lift other people up. You would hope that one day Caleb Williams in that position would do the same for the next crop of young quarterbacks that get drafted next year and the year after that and the year after that. I love watching these young quarterbacks play. They're uber talented, but they still have a lot to learn. I don't really think there's anything wrong with that. But I hope that Bryce Young learns from this benching. I hope he is able to kind of take a step back, see how a veteran like Andy Dalton operates, and he's better for it in the long run. I hope Caleb Williams can look back at his interactions with CJ Stroud and say, I get it. I was fired up and pissed that we lost, but that was pretty cool. He was looking out for me. And I got to make sure that I put myself to be in a position next time where I'm receptive to some of that tutelage because it's going to make me better. And then down the line, impart that knowledge onto somebody else.